Start 10 minutes
Okay,
ago.
fuck it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Greetings and welcome to episode 196 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander. I'm joined this week by the glorious one who's doing some kind of aerobics exercising. Mr. Moody, how are you?
Happy International Women's Day, Amy.
It is International Women's Day. Today, the day we're recording, which is fun. I only realised not that long ago when I finally opened. I don't open Twitter on a Sunday. It's just a thing. I rarely use it. Go figure. But yeah, happy International Women's Day to all the badasses out there. How are you, Mr. Moody?
I am very, very good. I've had a good week. I've had a good weekend. Chilled. Recharged the batteries. Ready to kick some ass on this podcast.
That's good. There's not that much ass that needs kicking.
That's true.
It's a slow week again. We're going from like one to the other, like high to low, to lots to nothing. Because that's just the way the games industry seems to be rolling these days. I was going to mention. No, you after you.
I was going to so much that you've added a TV show to the news.
It's the word. Greetings and welcome to the Words About TV cast. Not just added it at the top. It's the thing I want to talk about the most out of everything. Apart from Resident Evil 3 safe rooms, but then they turned around and they were like, no, Resident Evil 3 safe rooms are actually safe. And I was like, thank fucking God.
I was just like, you wimps.
Like,
Wimps.
Okay, yeah, I get
ready for this.
I get
ready.
I get the challenge. So, like, what we're talking about, for anyone that doesn't know, is there was a brief moment last week where, like, we thought Nemesis in Resident Evil 3 could come into safe rooms and you weren't safe anywhere. Like, and on the one hand, the part of my brain that's not a games critic was like, that's kind of cool because, like, you know, nothing's safe. That's cool. The other side of my brain that is a game critic, which usually overpowers the first part of my brain, was like, that's going to make the game so annoying. Because it's just like, he's just going to always be chasing you. The reason Mr. X worked in Resident Evil 2 Moody was because he wasn't there the whole time. If he was there the whole time, it would have been a completely different experience. That wouldn't have been as good, because he would have had to rush the entire game. I ain't about that life. I'm not a speedrunner. I don't rush games.
Over there who could get it finish it faster.
Yeah, with rocket launchers.
It needs a must. We need the rocket launchers.
Oh no, we needed the rocket launchers. That just make us speedrunners.
Yo, I got it under an hour.
I got it under an hour. That was fun though. I hope they release similar DLC in Resident Evil 3 so we can do that again.
We need the cheat code.
We need. Yeah, we need the cheat codes. 100%. We need the cheat codes to do that.
Same
because
price raised £3. That was a good price.
Yeah, it was like not very expensive. Much like the Battle Pass I bought on Apex Legends, despite the fact that I said I'd never buy a Battle Pass for Apex Legends, and then immediately bought the Battle Pass almost like less than 24 hours later, and I'm grinding the shit out of it. I'm so ready for new games to come out. I'm so ready. Oh my God.
Tuesday can't come soon enough.
Please.
I just want to say it. I hate the people who have the game, Ori. I'm like, because they're allowed to say they've got it, and I'm like, screw you all.
Yeah.
I hope you suffer while playing this. Like, it's so hard that you can't complete it in time. But I hope you're enjoying it because it does look amazing.
Yeah, I hope you're enjoying it too, because to be honest, like, I've been in those shoes. I've been in those shoes where it's like, I have a game. I can't talk about it. Didn't get Ori though. Shot my shot. Got shot down. It happens. But this is not a game review podcast. This is the Words About Gamescast, where each week we sit down and discuss everything that's been going on in gaming, the games industry, and games culture over the past 7 days. And this week, we discuss The Last of Us TV show heading into production at HBO, the multitude of cancellations related to the coronavirus, A mystery Star Wars game leaking on the PSN Store. What's stopping developers from bringing their games to Google Stadia? Tim Sweeney's thoughts on GeForce Now amid multiple publishers pulling their games from the service, and more. As always, timestamps are in the description below the video on YouTube, so if you want to watch specific parts of the podcast, or you just want to skip around, or you want to watch the whole thing backwards, you do you. We ain't gonna judge. It's fine, as long as you watch some of it. I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
Well, all of it is preferred.
I'd rather people watched all of it. That would be nice. But if people only watch some of it,
You
you
get
know,
the full experience of the Moody and the Alexander.
yeah,
Okay.
and the
You
Moody
need
Alexander.
The full you need the full experience.
The
Just
podcast.
take it all off.
Everyone's gone now. The full experience makes it sound like you're just gonna rip your shirt off.
What you gonna do, bruh?
I recommend always always at least watching the end for the games out this week, because we have fun trying to guess OpenCritic scores of games.
Someone might have nailed.
Sometimes
This week.
Sometimes we nail it. Most of the times we flail about wildly and are completely so far away. It's funny, yeah. Like that, yeah. I'm gonna gif that once this podcast is done. I got a great fucking still a few last week, and now I've got a gif. This is bad. This is the best show ever. Anyway, should we jump in?
Why not?
Story number 1. The Last of Us is getting an HBO TV show. This is from Ethan Gack over at Kotaku, who writes, Craig Mazin, I think, writer behind the wonderful miniseries Chernobyl, is apparently teaming up with The Last of Us game director Neil Druckmann to adapt the PlayStation zombie thriller into a TV show. According to The Hollywood Reporter, the series will focus on the events of the first game, though The Hollywood Reporter writes that there's the possibility of additional content based on the forthcoming game sequel, The Last of Us Part 2. The project is said to be a collaboration between HBO, Sony Pictures Television, and PlayStation Productions. Carolyn Strauss, former president of HBO, and Evan Wells, president of Naughty Dog, will be producers. Quote, From the first time I sat down to talk with Craig, I was equally blown away by his approach to narrative and his love and deep understanding of The Last of Us, Druckmann told The Hollywood Reporter in a statement. Mazin also praised Druckmann, calling him the finest storyteller working in the video games medium, and referring to The Last of Us as Druckmann's magnum opus, despite it being a collaborative effort between hundreds of programmers, designers, artists, and actors. Moody, Last of Us TV show, coming to HBO sometime in the future. This fall? I don't know, who knows? Next fall.
It screams out 2021.
Yeah.
That's what it does. If not early 2022, that's what does scream out to me. It seems like Neil's already got the script done, because it does say in the article that I've read that the script that he was trying to do, he was aiming to do as a movie,
Right.
but he just was never happy with it. He was just like, this is not a movie, and I'm not happy with it, and I don't want to damage the thing I've already made with obviously hundreds of people he has on his side at Naughty Dog. My podcast got an email for this, and it was asking what did we think if it was meant to be coming up as a film. Do we think it was a good idea? I think it's a great idea overall. HBO is wanting to find new and intriguing new IPs and content at once for its show, especially as its big boy last year, Game of Thrones, finished last year, and obviously, I think what puts this over the top for me to go even more excited is that's got the showrunner of Chernobyl. That is the biggest, sexiest thing ever, because Chernobyl was for me the best show last year. Hands down. Yeah, for me. Yeah, as much as I love The Witcher, which I think is one of the catalysts why HBO have got this IP, because they're just like, a video game.
Toss a coin to your Witcher. Oh, valley of plenty. It's like I've been saying for years, Mary. Video games aren't meant to be movies. They're meant to be TV shows.
I think anything can become a good story, film or TV. I don't mind as long as it's done right. I think the thing that always hurts excuse me, a video game movie is that they've tried to take the plot from the story that we already know from the video games. I think
Yeah.
we don't need to know it. The only thing that puts me off about this show, The Last of Us, is they're retelling Joel and Ellie's story. They've already confirmed it. They've already come out and said, like, one of the writers have already come out and says that yes, they are keeping Ellie gay and everything like that, which is not a surprise to me whatsoever. I was just thinking,
Yeah, it'd be weird if they didn't.
well, I think they've come out and nipped it in the bud straight away just because they could have got a huge backlash from that just alone for that, because of how
Yeah.
how endearing Ellie is as a character, especially for the LGBT community and everything. That's the only disappointment for me is I'm just like, you've got a vast world here. We already know their story. We're going to get more of their story in May. I don't need to know any more. Give me something new. Give me new characters. Start with when it all happened. Maybe or start with Joe when it literally happened after his spoilers into the first game, after his daughter dies.
You had to bring it up. You had to bring it up. I'm not over it.
And I don't think anyone is. They could have done the next 10 years or how long it was of storytelling for that.
Nah.
So they want to retell the story, and if it belongs, it works. That's all that matters. I think the thing that works for The Witcher, why The Witcher's been so successful, they've gone off the books more than the games. Even though they have serious nods towards the games and everything, there's no doubt about it. We all see it and everything, but they've kept to the books more than anything. I'm excited. Neil Druckmann is an amazing story writer. You got the head of the show of Chernobyl, HBO, one of the biggest TV content creators out there. It all screams satisfaction, and I hope it is for everybody.
Yeah, I was trying to think of a song with the word satisfaction in it, and it like 6 came into my head at once, and I was like, my brain just needed a reboot there. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a good show, I think. Like, I've never seen Chernobyl, but everybody raves about it. Like, I agree with you that The Witcher wasn't the best TV show last year. But in a world where The Good Place exists, I'm sorry, The Good Place is just god tier, like, in terms of TV. But it's cool. This is good. I hope it comes out before the Uncharted movie, because that would be hilarious.
That movie is slated for 2021 now, as that's been pushed till March 2021, I believe. But that film is meant to start filming in about a week or two. They've got a new director. They've already hired Antonio Banderas, what looks like it's going to be the villain for that. Tom Holland.
I remember when Mark Wahlberg was going to be Nathan Drake. I've aged myself a little bit there.
He's silly now, so.
He's silly now because they waited so long. He was too old to be a Nathan Drake. But on the topic of The Last of Us, like, I mean, I'm really cool. I like adaptations, like whether it does something new or it adapts the actual like story of the game. Because I feel like The Last of Us is Joel and Ellie. Like, yes, there is a world and it's huge and expansive, and you can tell stories like in like this world any way you want. But I think without Joel and Ellie, it's just another friggin' zombie game TV show, which is cool. Like, as long as it's good. But I think if you're doing a Last of Us TV show, I think you gotta have Joel, you gotta have Ellie. This is gonna come out so far after part 2 that I don't know, it's gonna be weird. Like, it's gonna be weird to see, because like, what are they gonna do for season 3? Like, you know what I mean? But that's really neither here nor there. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. Like, again, I think games are so long. Like, even like quote unquote short games can still be like 10 hours. And it's like, yeah, you try to take that plot from a game and crush it into like a 90-minute movie, and it generally doesn't work. We've seen that time and time and time and time again. On a completely unrelated note, I saw the poster for Monster Hunter, and a little piece of me died inside. I was like, no, terrible. It's going to be awful.
Probably won't be far behind. Oh, it's by Paul W.S. Anderson. He's arguably one of the worst film directors out there, and of course he has to shove his wife in there.
Yeah, but
and he's northeastern. That just pisses me off even more.
I know, it's like he's supposed to be one of us, and he's supposed to be the person we go, look, see, this guy's awesome. Instead, he's making terrible Resident Evil movies.
He's no Ridley Scott.
Mortal Kombat is a bit guilty pleasure movie for me, though. It's bad. It's not as bad as the second one, but it's cheesy and I can have fun with it.
The only thing they get right for that is literally the song.
Mortal Kombat. Yeah. Who do you think should play Joel and Ellie?
Don't care, any good actor and actress.
No, we've got to join in.
Nope.
We have to.
Nope.
We do
I've
some
seen it.
podcast.
I've seen it. People saying it should be Hugh Jackman. I'm thinking Hugh Jackman's already played him in Logan. Bugger off.
Yeah. They already made a Last of Us movie. It's called Logan.
They did the last movie. It was called that one. It's called Logan. Any good actor or actress for me, it doesn't bother me. I do like the choice who they're saying for Ellie, the girl from Booksmart. I do like her. I think she's really kind of
Caitlin Dever.
Yeah, I do like her. But if it's none of them, just don't be stupid, internet, and try and break the internet just because you didn't get the person you want. Doesn't mean it's not going to be good. For me, it would be better if they don't get anyone substantial. For me personally. Yeah,
when I saw it, when I first saw the story coming out, it was like Hugh Jackman should be in it. Like, he should be Joel, and I was like, nah, because I think that distracts. I think when you get a big name star in something, I think it kind of distracts from the thing that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah.
I loved the idea of the Game of Thrones guy whose name I can't pronounce.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays Jamie.
Jamie Lannister. Yeah. He would be cool. I think he would be good in it. Caitlin Dever's a fantastic choice for. Oh my god! Every website I go on to is just bombarding me with do you want to subscribe? Accept our cookies. Here's GDPR stuff. And I was I just want to look at some pictures.
Let me look at pictures.
I'm on a roll. I'm on a website now called Sausage Roll, and they've got an interesting picture. They've got a very interesting header. I'm gonna throw this one out there because I'm looking at it right now. Last of Us, Joel, Keanu Reeves.
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Oh my god, that would be terrible. But that's the picture in the header.
If you think Hugh Jackman would stick out like a sore thumb, Keanu Reeves would stick out like a sore thumb. Keanu Reeves had the renaissance out of nowhere in 2019, and the guy was already technically back because John Wick 1 and 2 were already great. He already did other great things before then and everything, but last year, man, bloody hell, he was everywhere. He had a great romantic comedy where he arguably stole the show in it, and he had arguably one of the best action movies last year, and then he stole E3. No one won E3 except Keanu Reeves, and he's only on one part last year.
You're breathtaking. Wow, this website shoots some shots, and I'm not a fan. Jake Gyllenhaal's on here, Chris Evans is on here, Hugh Jackman.
Too big. Jake Gyllenhaal's not a bad call, but at the same time, he's too big now. I think if he didn't do Spider-Man, then possibly, just because you do not need that or want that distraction. The thing that worked for Witcher, Henry Cavill ain't really the biggest star anymore. He hasn't been the biggest star for a while.
It was a risk with Henry Cavill,
yeah.
But he disappeared into that role.
Yeah. Justice League didn't work. Batman v Superman didn't work.
How dare you?
He hasn't had any great hairs. Man from U.N.C.L.E., arguably Guy Ritchie's best film for me personally. He was brilliant in. Didn't make no money. Made nothing.
Is that the one? Was it that film where he had to keep the mustache from? Man from U.N.C.L.E.
No.
Was it Mission Impossible?
The last time I saw him where he was really good, but he's not the star of because it's the Tom Cruise movie, was the last Mission Impossible movie, which he was really, really good.
Henry Cavill was also really good in Justice League. It's just that Justice League was not a good film.
Yeah, the man got Superman right. Well, no, that's unfair because they were going for a different Superman, and I really love Man of Steel.
Yeah, it was okay. I like Justice League, but Justice League for me, and then we're going to move on. to the next news story because we've just drifted so far away. We're just doing your podcast at this point.
Yeah. Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the most glorious movie podcast in the entire galaxy, the Glorious Movie Show. Shameless plug.
So Justice League was okay, but when you have a movie with like arguably like 5 of the greatest comic book characters in history and Cyborg, like it can't just be okay.
Oh, that poor Cyborg.
Cyborg's a Teen Titan. Like, you shouldn't be in the. Don't try to make. DC are trying to make Cyborg a thing, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, the comic books have been trying to make him a thing, and
this is what I'm saying. Don't stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. But everybody in that film was good. It's just, oh no, I'm getting away from myself. Jason Momoa was great. The Flash was good. Ezra Miller, they were all good. It just the film sucked. It was okay. No, news story number 2. Let's talk about games. Let's talk about endocrinology, biology. Might get to games eventually. More esports events have been cancelled over coronavirus concerns. This is from Nicole Carpenter over at Polygon. He writes, the number of esports events cancelled over the spread of the novel coronavirus continues to grow. On Friday afternoon, NetherRealm Studios announced that it cancelled its Last Chance qualifier event scheduled for Saturday and would only permit its top 16 Mortal Kombat 11 players to compete in the Final Combat 2020 event on Sunday. It'd still be live streamed. Ticket holders will no longer be able to attend the event. Elsewhere in the industry, Electronic Arts has also cancelled multiple esports events for Apex Legends and FIFA 20. This comes after League of Legends developer Riot Games issued new rules for its events, including the prohibition of handshakes and high fives, on Friday morning. On Thursday, developer Psyonix cancelled its Rocket League Season 9 World Championship event scheduled to be held April 24th to 26th in Dallas. Quote, we understand this is frustrating, but health and safety will only be our top priority, end quote. Psyonix wrote in a statement, it's also adjusting its weekly matches to protect its players and staff. All matches will be played online with no broadcast talent in studio. These events are not alone. Many more, including the Game Developers Conference, South by Southwest, and Mobile World Congress, have been cancelled or postponed as COVID-19, the disease caused by the novel coronavirus, spreads globally. I'm not going to read those numbers because they're already out of date. And this was written on Friday. But yeah, basically lots of people have it. There's more than 250 cases in the United States, with most concentrated in California and Washington State. The Centers for Disease Control suggests the risk for most Americans is low at this time. Everything's getting cancelled by this potential epidemic.
I want to add in another thing. That's something that me and my colleagues at college spoke about. Both Bungie and Microsoft are telling their staff to work from home.
Yes, I heard about this. Yeah, their staff are basically working from home at this point.
Yeah, and an unrelated thing. This is going to a little bit of a sports and everything. Like out football over this weekend, the players weren't allowed to do their mandatory handshake anymore, and the F1's second race, Bahrain, is going to be shown behind closed doors now.
Wow.
They're only going to have media there, and obviously the teams. No, they are, and everything. So it's everywhere. Like on my podcast, we talked about that Bond got postponed.
Yeah.
And everything. There's a lot of things going out there. It's been postponed and everything. I can confirm though, ladies and gentlemen, that EA have only postponed Apex because they were so impressed by both myself and Amy and Keith's gameplay this last 2 weeks that they wanted to postpone it so we could get ready and join them to win that whole thing.
Wow.
I can confirm that.
Okay, just letting the cat out of the bag there, Mr. Moody. Just let the cat out of the bag. So, I think this is sensible. I know there's a lot of people on my Twitter chirping away about like, "Ooh, it's not that serious," and like, "Oh, blah blah," like flu kills more people, but it's sensible to do this now and wait for it to die out. Like, I'm not a biology expert, I'm not a science expert, virology expert, or anything like that. I just feel like it's sensible to let it die out before we start having these massive shows, like worldwide international shows where people from everywhere are coming in to do the thing, because it's not necessarily that, like, let's take a look, I don't know, let me just pull one straight out here that I found, the Apex Legends event, whatever that was. And, like, it's not necessarily that anyone at the Apex Legends event might have coronavirus going in. It's that a lot of people are going to be traveling to the event, going through airports, and that's one of the places where like a virus like this can cross over like quite easily. So then all it takes is one person going to the Apex Legends event from, I don't know, like one airport in the world that has crosses over with someone who has coronavirus, and then boom, all the people at the Apex Legends get it, and it spreads from there. I played Pandemic. I know how this shit works. I lost every time.
Yeah, it's been smart. That's all it is. I know I can appreciate to everybody that are a little bit annoyed they aren't going to get to watch this and everything, but at the end of the day, if something did happen, that's millions.
That's a million times worse. Like, it's a million times worse than like going to PAX East and not being able to play The Last of Us Part 2. Like, it'd be worse if you went there and then there was a major like coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah. It's a whole song and dance like, because it is everywhere. Everything like how like E3, we don't know, is it happening? We don't know. They're literally taking it day by day. If it completely fully breaks out in LA, E3 is done. It won't happen this year, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know how it could get cured by June, but it doesn't mean E3 is going to happen either way. It's best to be safe than sorry and everything. It's disappointing and everything, but I'm disappointed I can't go and see Bond in a couple of weeks. I've literally got over it. I was like, all right, it's smart. Be smart.
Like,
don't be dumb.
It's disappointing. Like, it'd be disappointing. It's super disappointing if E3 was affected by this. And yeah, you're right. Like, at first, I would, like, be disappointed. But then it's like, yeah, it is. Like, it is disappointing, but it is smart. And I can understand, like, why that might happen. Like, for me, I'm not even so much looking at E3, because I feel like even if coronavirus stops everybody from going to LA, because I think they declared a state of emergency not that long ago.
Yeah, this beginning of the week.
Yeah. Like, even if it stops all the games companies and developers and fans and content creators and journalists from going to E3, like most of the companies that are planning to already be there to do stuff will still do stuff. There'll still be a Nintendo Direct. There'll still be some sort of Microsoft show. Like, they just won't be necessarily like, the Microsoft show might not necessarily take place at the LA, like the Microsoft Theater. I think that's why they're doing it. Yeah. They might just do it from like Seattle and Washington, wherever the hell it was that Microsoft
They'll all do direct.
are based. They'll all do something. So like, E3 might not necessarily be dead. What I'm looking at right now is like, if this gets worse to the point where games have already started to be delayed by this. The Path of Exile 2 beta has been delayed. If like companies like Bungie and Microsoft are getting their employees to work from home, that's good and that's safe and that's smart. That could delay their games because their games will be being worked on slower, which isn't a criticism. It's just a fact. But then you start getting into this knock-on effect of, okay, but how bad does this need to get before you're looking at PS5 and Series X and going, those could get delayed, because a lot of their components come from China. If you're talking about manufacturing, if you're
not manufacturing anything right now.
Yeah, and it's like if you're talking about like assembly, it's like you have to get people together to be on those assembly lines, and if no one's working on those assembly lines, the consoles aren't getting manufactured. And again, this isn't me complaining and saying, "Duh, I want my PS5 in November." It's like, it's just a fact. But I want, like, what would, like, how, I don't know. I guess I want to ask a question that I know neither of us can answer. It's like, what would it take for Sony to just come out and be like, look, we have to delay the launch of the PlayStation 5?
I didn't catch the beginning of that, so you cut out on my end.
Sorry. I was just saying, like, I don't know if either of us could answer this question, but, like, what would it take for, say, Sony, for example, to come out and be like, we're delaying the launch of PlayStation 5 because of coronavirus?
I think if they, like, Ryan McCarthy tweeted out something just not today, saying that he can see them both getting affected by the coronavirus. They already are getting affected by the coronavirus. That's a status. They are both already getting affected, Microsoft and Sony. But you can see them not getting delayed, but the supply and demand being very low, kind of like how the Wii was when that came out. I can see that happening, but that to answer your question when it comes to Sony, I think Sony, I think they're backing themselves up because they obviously aren't speaking yet. Obviously, I think that's going to be May.
I think
Um,
I think even that, because we read the story a couple of weeks ago. Sorry to interrupt.
no,
About them not being able to nail down the price, or the price of the components of the PS5 going up because of coronavirus and shortages. And I think they're trying to hold off as long as possible because they need to know how much it's going to cost to build one. Like when they actually
well, I
need
think
to
it's also
build one.
it's how many they can get built as well.
Yeah,
They say they can get 1 million built, then they'll probably allow it. Maybe 1 million, maybe not 1 million, but you know what I mean.
yeah,
If they can get a certain number for themselves built in time, then yes, they'll probably say, okay, we can do this.
yeah.
And
Like it
everything.
might
But
just
they'll
be a
probably,
case of it'll be short. It'll be in short supply. Like
yeah, and they'll say that. I think they'll have to communicate that. They're saying, because of certain reasons, it's going to be short on supply. So basically, it's going to be first come, first serve. You get it, good,
if you
congratulations.
if you
And
get it, you
everything
get
like
it.
that.
If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, and it's going to be the same with Microsoft and everything like that. So, but out of all of them, I can see Sony pushing, just because Sony are in a more comfortable situation right now. PlayStation 4 is still killing it.
Yeah,
What, 100 million, 110 million units almost, or whatever. It's still killing it. It's got one exclusive already out, what's killing it in Dreams. It's got two coming up, what everyone is excited for, especially The Last of Us Part 2. Sony can hold off and literally push it to early 2021 if they wanted to. If they felt like, all right, why not we hold it off, push it. It's
yeah,
going to cost us a little. It's going to cost us. We know it's going to cost us. But at the end of the day, if we can put it out and make sure we have 200 million units ready to go, the date we're going to drop it at,
2 million.
that's fantastic. And it also gives their release window their release launch games more time to cook. Like everyone's believing it's Horizon Zero Dawn 2, longer to cook. Yes, it also pushes Guerrilla back because Guerrilla are probably thinking, all right, let's start now thinking of a concept for our next game
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah,
It pushes everyone back. That would be the disappointing part for them and everything. But it gives everyone else. I think the knock-on effect would be that everyone is getting affected by this, and that everyone gets that little bit extra
yeah.
time to at least the first 6 months of a launch get that little bit of extra time to cook their games and everything. So Sony, I can see pushing it.
Yeah,
Microsoft are not going to.
I agree. Microsoft don't need to because everybody who's got an Xbox can play whatever the Xbox Series X launch titles are, whether it's like Halo for sure, whether it's Hellblade, whether it's Everwild, whether it's Fable, whether it's Forza. Like, if you have an Xbox, you can already play. So Microsoft don't necessarily need to be too worried about like coming out and saying, "Look, we're coming out in November. We've only got a few 100,000 units because of these reasons. If you get one, great, fantastic. We're working on making more. If you haven't got one, you can still play our amazing games on your Xbox One or your Xbox One X and jump in when there's more units available." Whereas PlayStation don't have that. Like if they launch the PS5 and there's only a few 100,000 units, they can't say, "Look, it's cool. You've got PS4. You can play whatever PS5 exclusive games there are." It's like PS5 don't have that in their back pocket, so they're more likely
Like
that we
we
know
don't
of.
know yet.
Yeah, that we know of.
Yeah,
But I'd say like of that, they're more likely to be like, we're just gonna move it. So it's gonna come out in March. We know this is a disappointment, but it would be just as big a disappointment if you tried to get a PS5 and you couldn't because we couldn't make very many. Like that would I feel like that would be their messaging. And it would be good messaging. I think it would be smart messaging. I think people would be disappointed, people would be angry, but I think most sensible people would get over it quite quickly and just be like, yeah, this actually makes sense. Because it means that instead of a few people having PS5 on launch, it means like everybody who wants one can just jump in for the sake of a few months.
agreed. Completely agree with it.
But we'll keep an eye on it as it develops. We're not gonna. I picked that news story specifically because it kind of covered everything that's been cancelled over the last couple of weeks. And what I want to do going forward with the podcast is, unless there's something major like E3 is cancelled, PS5's delayed, like I don't want to like cover every single event that's been cancelled by coronavirus because I feel like we'll just start repeating ourselves. So I wanted to do one big one in the podcast and then just be like, cool, unless there's something major, now we're just gonna keep an eye on it, maybe talk about it a little bit, but just leave it as a news story. Let's move on. Speaking of non-news stories, mystery Star Wars game Project Maverick seemingly leaks on PSN. This is from Joe Scrabbles over at IGN, who writes, Star Wars Project Maverick has seemingly leaked on the European PlayStation Network, and it appears to be an unannounced game. There are no announced Star Wars games. Posted by Twitter bot PSN Releases and posted on Reset Era by user SoulSonic, it appears a listing was created for the game on the European PSN backend with a logo image attached. It's a red thing with X-Wings. While the listing won't appear on the public store, its details can still be scraped by services like this bot. Those hitting listings also recently outed the likes of Resident Evil 3 ahead of the official announcement. We've never heard of Project Maverick before, and it appears this is an early listing for a completely unannounced game. The presence of a tiny group of X-Wings flying towards a Star Destroyer in the logo image has led some to speculate that this is a dogfighting game in the vein of the classic X-Wing or Rogue Squadron games. Last month we heard that EA had cancelled a Star Wars game codenamed Viking in 2019, but that a smaller, more unusual project was still in the works at EA Motive in Montreal. It's possible this is Project Maverick. Someone asked Jason Schreier that on Twitter, if it was Project Maverick, and he, if this was the smaller, more unusual project, and he said yes. That was all he said.
Yeah. Yes.
He just literally said yes.
Makes sense that they're doing this. It's a game they could always get out quick as fast and everything.
Yep. It's cool.
I have no excitement for it. I'm not gonna lie.
Because there's nothing here. Everybody was asking me this fucking question last week. Have you seen the Star Wars thing? Have you seen the Star Wars thing? I'm like, yes, I've seen it. It's non-information. The most interesting thing about the information was Jason Schreier's yes. It's like, this is the Motive game. Right, cool. What is it? No idea. How can we speculate? We can't. It's coming out on PlayStation. Yeah, cool. Of course it is. Oh. Yeah. It's like, we have no information about this game, but everybody was like, oh, you should talk about it on your podcast that you do. And I was like, well, fine, I will, but you're not going to like the result. Because just me going, fucking, okay, great. Whatever.
Nothing. It really does. It means nothing. We don't know anything they're doing. Wow, okay, we know they're doing a possible a TIE fighter game. Okay,
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. And they're doing Jedi Fallen Order 2. Wow, yeah. Those games are still 2-3 years out. I
am excited for both of those things. Jedi Fallen Order, whatever this is, love Star Wars, great. However, my hype level, what's your hype level at? 0, because I don't know anything about the game. And between me learning what this game is and where I'm sitting right now are a million other games that I'm really excited for because I'll be playing them soon. And that's where I kind of sit with stuff like this. It's like, I look forward to games and I get hyped for games, but it's like, if you ask me how excited I am for Cyberpunk 2077, I'm going to be like, not excited. And then you say, why? And I go, because Ori and the Will of the Wisps and Doom and Animal Crossing and Half-Life and Bleeding Edge and Neo 2 are all coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm a lot more excited for those because they're going to be in my hands. I'm going to be playing them. I'm always excited for the game I'm going to be playing next, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's a total fact about it. I think we would have posed a little bit more enthusiasm if it wasn't because of what's happened with EA. How EA has tread the IP and everything. They've only got one good game, ladies and gentlemen, out of the 3 or 4 they've thrown out.
Jedi, Battlefront, and some mobile games.
So
yeah.
And they've cancelled 2 or 3 now.
3. They've cancelled 3 project games, so you're telling me there's a 4th one in the works with the project name, and it's like, alright, cool, this is probably going to get cancelled. It's it's 3 out of 3 so far, but no, the reason I'm not massively hyped or excited for the game is literally because, if they told me what it was, if there was a store description even, I'd be a little bit more like, okay, cool, let's talk about that, but there's not. There's a picture with some X-Wings and a Star Destroyer.
If only there was something that's coming in June. Possibly.
We'll find out.
Hopefully.
We'll find out. And when we do, I'll be excited. And until then, I'm not really that bothered.
And unless it's just a straight trailer and they don't show us any gameplay, I probably still won't be excited. Or if they go even worse, they just get the
Do the thing.
the name. Just give it a name.
They do that thing from a few years ago where they just had the people in the offices talking about how cool Star Wars was. And then it was like, that was it.
You got a special thing, haven't you? You're gonna tell us the name of your title. I love Andrew Renee, but my goodness, that was so cringy.
The
But
whole.
she did the best she could.
I mean, she did the best she could. That whole show was a train wreck. Unfortunately, Andrea's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
What's Good Games podcast is one of my most listened to things, but yeah, that show wasn't great.
I want that just as my ringtone.
Sure, you can get it. Ask.
Private message them and say, "Give me as a ringtone. I will pay for this."
Yeah,
don't
I
think
will. I will Patreon subscribe up the butt for this.
Just for that, and then I'll
Just for that, and then I'll unsubscribe. I got a pin. I Patreon. I subscribed that Patreon for a pin badge once. I still do, but I upped it. I only do because I only do my Patreons at $1 or whatever. Because yeah, I do a lot of them. I support a lot of cool content. One day, hopefully, you'll support mine when I launch one. Next news story. Developers and publishers say Google isn't offering them enough money to bring their games to Stadia. This is from Zach Zweizen over at Kotaku, who writes, Google Stadia hasn't been a huge success.
Duh.
One big reason is the lack of games, and it seems the reason Stadia's library of software is so small is that Google isn't willing to spend the money to get more games on the platform. As reported by Business Insider, many developers have explained that one of the biggest reasons indies have mostly stayed away from Stadia is the lack of financial incentive from Google. One executive at a publishing company described the amount of money that Google was offering them as so low that it wasn't even part of the conversation. Excuse me. Another indie dev described how most platform owners, like Microsoft and Epic, offer upfront incentives to entice developers and publishers to create or release games on their stores, but with Google Stadia, the incentive was, in the words of that dev, kind of non-existent. Currently, there are only 28 games available on the video game streaming service, and while Google is promising to add over 100 to the platform this year, this report from Business Insider paints a picture that devs are nervous about working with Stadia. Many mentioned to Insider that they were concerned about Stadia's future and how committed Google was to running the service long term. Stadia's got a game problem.
They have a war chest of over 250 billion. And you're telling me you can't spend a little bit to get a couple of games on your more than 28 on your little streaming device, Google. You have a war chest. A motherfucking war chest. You could buy Disney.
I have more than 28 games installed on my Xbox right now. Wow. Did you see the tweet? So you know how the thing's been going around where it's like spell your name in games, and people have been doing it. Stadia did it, and they were like, but they had the twist of spell your name in games available on Google Stadia, and they started doing it, and they got to the I, and they don't have any games on Stadia that begin with I, so they had the little shrug emoji. And people were like, why did you tweet this? And point out that you have so few games on your platform that you can't even spell your own name. Wowzers. And then you look at the games that are available on there and it's like, damn, nothing is exciting. Red Dead Redemption 2, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, those are great games. Played them 2 years ago. That's how I know they're great. But, I see games talk about coming out on Stadia. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to come out, and it's going to be in early access. And I'm like, cool, it's probably going to be on Stadia, which means I'm not going to be able to play it. There's this indie game that I've been following for a few years, because I played it at EGX, called Lost Words. And they released a trailer a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, cool. Because it was meant to come out at the end of 2019, it didn't. And now it's going to be a Time Stadia exclusive. So I was like, well, fuck me then, because I don't have 120 quid to drop on Stadia. I don't want to drop 120 quid on Stadia. And right now I don't have another alternative. Like, and I'm in the boat where if I want to play a game on Stadia, I can because my internet speed is good. But someone else who doesn't have that internet, because internet infrastructure in most parts of the world is terrible. Like, there are people who will never be able to play a Stadia exclusive game ever. It's not even a question of, oh, I really want to play Bloodborne, but I don't have a PS4. Well, you can remedy that by getting a PS4. But literally, if your internet isn't good enough, you can't get Stadia no matter what. And that's a terrible proposition for putting an exclusive game on your service. And that's my Google Stadia rant.
It's been just... Google's one of the biggest companies in the bloody world, for God's sakes, ladies and gentlemen. We all know this. They own YouTube, the whole shebang, blah, 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 blah. This thing has been one shit show after another when the whole bloody thing came out. And you want to know what the thing is? We all knew it was going to be a shit show when the guy who came out on stage for them was the guy who came out on stage for EA and then came out on the stage for Microsoft and came out on the stage for the PlayStation 3. We all know when he comes out on stage, shit is about to hit the fan in some sort of way. I can't remember this gentleman's name. I don't remember his name.
Not Don Maverick.
I think that's the Microsoft guy, isn't it?
That was the Microsoft guy.
Yeah, this is the guy.
He works for the guys for the shitty mobile Zynga. He works for Zynga now.
I think he's broke that company as well, but it doesn't make a difference. The guy, Stadia is just a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. The thing is, the idea and the concept is brilliant. It really is.
Still is.
Microsoft, and still is. Microsoft are doing it. Google, the thing is, Google wouldn't be getting wouldn't be getting hit so hard if they came out and just said from the beginning, this is a beta test. You are testing it.
Yeah. Nope, this is the retail product. Well,
we're not going to charge it.
That's how xCloud currently works.
Yeah.
I have it on my phone. I have 50 games on it. And a lot of these games are games I don't own, but they're just there so I can test the service. This is how GeForce Now worked. I was in the closed beta for that. There were tons of games on it. The games were there to be tested. It was free. And like, Google just went, now we're going to sell you a £120 fucking thing. And if you don't like it, fuck off.
And I'll tell you about one of these things, ladies and gentlemen. Google, guarantee you, they paid out of their ass to get Red Dead Redemption 2 and Assassin's Creed Odyssey onto their software. They at the time were the biggest games when this thing was getting announced.
100%. But why would I want to replay those games on Google Stadia?
Oh, I agree. No, but what I'm saying is that they've forked out so much money for games that we're not going to go back to, yet they can't pay that little bit extra to try and convince some new games to come to their software.
Yeah.
It's complete. I can understand for a business sense. I really do, especially Red Dead. Anything Rockstar, bloody hell, he's just like, that's money.
Yeah.
I'm amazed it wasn't GTA fucking 5 on there first.
Jesus Christ.
Really
the person you're referring to before was Phil Harrison. I googled him.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know whether they think they're trying to hold out for AAA games, but they're not going to get, like, they'll get AAA games on their service because, like, big AAA publishers want their games available on as many places as possible. They want as many revenue streams as they can get, but they're not going to get, like, what's Deathloop? I'm working on Deathloop. Like, they're not going to get a game like that exclusive to Stadia because Bethesda's not going to want to put it on Stadia and only Stadia. Like, they need, like, indie games. That's where they're going to get exclusives. Like Epic Games. Like, they need to take the Epic Games approach. And I'm not saying they should because, again, Google Stadia exclusives piss me off for reasons I've just talked about. But, like, if they're going to want exclusive games, they're going to either need to make them themselves, which is going to take years, or they're going to need to, like, just do what Epic Games does and say, how many sales do you think you're going to get if you put this game out on Steam and Epic and GOG? Cool, here's that money. Make the game, put it on Google. That's what you need to do. And then they'll be like, we've got exclusive games. And it'll piss a lot of people off, like me, but they'll have exclusives. But they're in that really weird position where it's like, like there is a barrier. There is an actual legitimate barrier that isn't just buying the thing that can stop people from getting the service. Like people don't necessarily, like people can't necessarily buy better internet in certain parts of this country. Never mind the world, just in this country. Some people just won't be able to get the internet and play Stadia, so they're automatically excluded straight away. People have internet data caps. They can't use Stadia either. Like, it's mental.
And also, I'll throw in another thing is that you're asking, what, 500 million people on the planet to start playing PC or console just so they can play it on their little streaming device. That's not going to happen straight away.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's
not at all.
it's especially as you throw it. If it was just that part, that little thing alone, but it isn't. It's like what you just said. It doesn't have any games. People don't have the internet for it, unless you're in a big city or something, and everything. It's so many little dominoes that are getting knocked down behind the big domino. It's just like it's just a complete shit show. It really is, and like I never had any interest for this thing at all right now. The second version of this, Microsoft's one, might be 10 times better. Well, it is already 10 times better already, but it might be even fully 10 times better, especially when it goes full release, whenever that is for Microsoft.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna. Sorry, no, go on.
No.
Like with xCloud, it's never gonna replace my Xbox. I'm gonna get it because I want it. Like, and it's cool, and it ties. But even with Xbox, it ties into my existing Xbox library, which ties into Game Pass, which ties into Xbox Live Gold games. Like, it ties into so much stuff that I already have that I don't need to go out and buy games I've already bought because, like, I've already got the games that I own. Like, I'm replaying currently Mass Effect Andromeda on my Xbox, and if that's tied into my xCloud and I can just like play a bit when I'm on the bus or on a train or something, that's cool, and I'll do that. Like, but I'm not gonna go to Google Stadia and rebuy it just so I can play it on the move a bit. Because at the end of the day, the performance of a games console is going to be better than the performance of my phone on Wi-Fi or 5G. And I know we're not necessarily the target audience for something like Google Stadia, but like, I feel like we're the only ones who might buy. Like, people like us who are like really into games are the only ones that might buy it, potentially under the right circumstances. But I think the audience that they're trying to target aren't ready for it yet.
Agreed.
But anyway, speaking of streaming services, because we're still talking about them, some publishers may be abandoning GeForce Now, but Epic is wholeheartedly supporting the service. This is from Vicky Blake over at Eurogamer. He writes, 2K may have recently joined Activision and Bethesda in removing its portfolio from GeForce Now, Nvidia's streaming service, but it seems the service's biggest game, Fortnite, isn't going anywhere just yet. Quote, Epic is wholeheartedly supporting Nvidia's GeForce Now service with Fortnite and with Epic Game Store titles that choose to participate, including exclusives, and will be improving the integration over time, Epic Games boss Tim Sweeney announced on Twitter. It's the most developer-friendly and publisher-friendly of the major streaming services with zero tax on game revenue. Game companies who want to move the game industry towards a healthier state for everyone should be supporting this kind of service. Cloud streaming services will also be key players in ending the iOS and Google Play payment monopolies and their 30% taxes, Sweeney added. Apple has decreed that these services aren't allowed to exist on iOS and therefore aren't allowed to compete, which is megalomaniacal and won't stand. Just waiting till later this year when Google is lobbying against Apple for blocking Stadia from iOS, while Google blocks GeForce Now, xCloud, and Fortnite from Google Play, and this whole rotten structure begins collapsing in on itself. End quote. So yeah, I put this in there because a bunch of publishers pulled their games from GeForce Now that the beta's ended. It was worth noting, and then I kind of tied it in with this weird rant from Tim Sweeney. Where it kind of makes sense, but you know, it's Tim.
I said something to my teacher, which he actually thinks is probably going to happen. And I'll state the young Master Yoda himself begun the Clone Wars or streaming wars have, because I truly believe 2K and Activision and Bethesda pulled theirs not just because of certain things, because they're going to do their own streaming service or do their own full service altogether and everything. That's what I think they're truly going to do now. The streaming service is going to be the big little thing. Game Pass has been so big for Microsoft. Everybody's literally saying this is working, and they're going to try and get the jump into the kittle. EA already do it with EA Access and everything, and yeah, this is what's going to happen. And respect it. I'm going to say respect the Epic. But I'll say one thing: no doubt they're probably thinking, well, ours is the biggest game. Let's just put it on everything and everything. We want to be on everywhere. Let's just be friendly. It's a free game. Blah 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 and everything. So, but respect to them and everything for that. But that's how I think this. That's why I think this is a lead into that. Activision, Bethesda, and 2K are going to start their own thing.
Just on that point, I have a rebuttal. That was my rebuttal. I fucking hope not, because, man, let me tell you something about streaming wars. They're the fucking worst.
Ubisoft are already doing that. Are going to do theirs.
But I don't
want. Talked about it last year.
No, stop. They need to stop, because I'm already sitting here thinking, like, Google's only got, like, okay, cool, like, what am I really gonna pay a fuck you amount a month, right? A fuck you pounds a month to fucking just to stream Far Cry, Assassin's Creed? No. No, I'm not. Like, this is why streaming isn't going to take off in the short term. Like, this is one of the major reasons why, because every library is going to be fractured to the point where no streaming service can possibly be a success. Because if fucking Activision has one, and 2K has one, and Bethesda has one, and Ubisoft has one, and EA has one, and Sony has one, and Microsoft has one, it's like, right, cool, well, I'm not going to subscribe to all of those, because that would be a fucking shitload of money. And then it's like, well, which ones do you subscribe to? Well, I don't know. Because, like, okay, I'll subscribe to EA. Okay, because fucking, I don't know, Dragon Age 4 is coming out. Okay, cool. Well, I've played Dragon Age 4 now. I'm not going to keep that running while I have my Ubisoft one active because I want to play Assassin's Creed. But I'm going to cancel EA and go. And then it's like, that's what I do with streaming services right now. I'm in and out of Netflix all the time. When there's nothing on I want to watch, I just cancel it. And it's going to get worse when Disney Plus comes in at the end, and it, like, on March, whatever the fuck it is. Because, like, when I'm watching Disney Plus, I won't be watching Netflix. But when I don't know, Atypical or The Witcher or something I want to watch on Netflix drops, I'm going to be like, cool, buy Disney Plus. I'm going to get back to Netflix. Like, and then I may just get fucked up with the whole thing and just not do any of it. Like, and that's how I feel about the streaming things for games. In fact, it's even worse for games because I have the boxes. And I'm going to have the next generation of boxes. And I was like, I'm not going to pay for any of this shit. No.
This is how physical media die. They go to streaming.
No. I don't think so. Like, I don't think it's going to ever kill it, because there's always going to be, I think there's always going to be a thing for collectors. I think there's always going to be digital downloads.
The 1%.
Yeah, but they're still going to be a thing, and they're still going to exist. Like, people still rent games all over the world. We do. People in America still do it. But
only because we can't rent digitally yet.
Yeah, but that's never going to happen. Like, the only reason we can rent physically is because it's a third-party company. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo aren't going to let us rent games in their own ecosystem. And even if they were of a mind to do that, publishers like Activision and Bethesda and EA aren't going to let us do that anyway. They aren't going to let them let us do that. So it's a moot point. But especially not with this stupid fucking streaming service thing that's kicking off. Like, the idea behind GeForce Now was fantastic, where it was like, it plugs in to your existing library on Steam, on GOG, and I guess on Epic Games now. But, and like, if you've got the game, you can stream it. You just have to pay a bit of money. Cool. That's convenient. I like that a lot. The idea of every single major fucking publisher doing this on their own back is like, no, I'm out. Thank you.
This is what they're all
but
saying
I'm out.
right now.
Like, it's not happening. But if everybody united behind something like GeForce Now, streaming could take off. Actually, legitimately take off within the next few years. But because they're not going to do that, streaming is not going to take off in the next few years. Like, they're actively hampering the technology. It's that simple. And I don't understand why they can't see that.
Because all they see is dollar signs.
But they could get more dollar signs if they just do it the right way.
Nope. Ignore that.
Is that the ad?
That's what they're saying to us right now.
It's not. They're fucking it up for themselves. Essentially, they're fucking it up for themselves. And I'm moving on now. Next news story. Bethesda was surprised. Let's talk about massive AAA publishers being fucking clueless. Bethesda was surprised how uninterested players were in Fallout 76's PvP. This is from Jody McGregor over at PC Gamer. He writes, while plenty of Fallout players have suggested over the years that future games in the series could do with an option for co-op multiplayer, the addition of player versus player combat in Fallout 76 was not met with enthusiasm. Although not much about Fallout 76 was. As Bethesda's Senior Vice President of Global Marketing and Communications, Pete Hines, told US Gamer, quote, I think we were a little surprised how few people wanted to take part in PvP and how many more were interested in PvE together, as opposed to, I want to test my metal against you, let's get into a duel. There's some folks who do, don't get me wrong, but I think it's a smaller percentage of our player base than we thought. Pete fucking Hines. Listen to me very carefully, Pete Hines. When everybody's talking about your game, right, and they say, you know what would be cool? If I could team up with a few of my friends in co-op and play through this game, do you know what that's not code for? I want to shoot the fuck out of my friends. How were Bethesda surprised that people didn't want to do Fallout 76 PvP? How? No one asked for it. No one.
Pete Hines, I've got 3 words to say to you.
Like, I don't understand. This reminded me immediately when I read it, when it was years ago, when Bravely Default came out. And it was like an old school JRPG. Like, I'm talking like original Final Fantasies on the Nintendo old school. And it sold really well in the West. And the Square Enix executive came out and said, well, we were really surprised when it sold really well in the West. And it's like, people have been crying out for a game like this. And then they bought it. So either you're being disingenuous when you say you're surprised, or you weren't paying attention. And I say the same to Pete Hines here. Either he's being disingenuous with what he says about being surprised, or you just weren't paying attention to what people actually wanted, made your own thing, and were surprised when people didn't want it.
Yeah, that's what definitely comes across as. I don't deny what you're saying there. I would highly recommend, especially for you, just to check out Kind of Funny's We Got Good Friends or Some Friends or whatever. Pete Hines.
We have cool friends.
Yeah. The last episode was with Pete Hines, and that's even caused a bit of controversy itself, apparently. So
interesting.
Oh, I have no problem with the man whatsoever. He's
no, it's not personal. It's not personal.
No, I know, I don't deny that. But yes, this whole thing does seem like, were you paying attention, or were you clueless? I hope it is just that they didn't pay attention and they actually genuinely were just shocked that people didn't want this.
Like, nobody wanted a PvP Fallout game. I don't understand. I don't understand what they were doing to make them think that they did. Because it'd be one thing to say if PvP was a component of Fallout 76, which was massively PvE. But I mean, the problem is they whiffed so badly. Like, no NPCs, no quests. Like, you know, you're just listening to robots and following robots around and stuff like that. Like, we could go on all day about the things Fallout 76 got wrong, but it's like, when they come out and say something like this, it is easy to sort of look at and see, that's how you managed to get it wrong. Like, I can see it now.
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that they've gone off their own analysis, because they've already got an online game with Elder Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls, yeah.
and everything, and that's the only thing I can think of they've gone off is that, and their PvP, I never say it right, is at a
PvP.
high, is high with the playership. That's the only thing I can think of, and they've literally thought, oh, people are playing it, that means they'll want it for this. I think also what hurts is that it's Fallout 76. It's a knock-on effect from that. That game came out broken. It's still broken.
Sure did.
It hasn't been fixed. They've done multiple type of things what have just pissed people off even more. So it's literally a giant, like I said on the last story, the story before, it's a giant domino effect. The big domino is Fallout 76, and behind it is so many mini little right now with how it's going with Fallout 76, 1,000 gazillion little dominoes, and it's still going to this day with how many things that are just pissing people off all the time. For me, I would not talk about this game at all. Keep your mouth shut and everything. He says he's got some fun things for E3 and everything.
We'll see if that happens.
We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, it's like people like to cite No Man's Sky a lot as sort of like a game can turn around, and No Man's Sky really fucking turned around. As someone who played it at launch and then picked it up again when the big next update came out, like it was like night and day. They turned that game around so well. It was crazy. But here's what Hello Games did that a lot of publishers and developers don't do when they're trying to follow the No Man's Sky thing. It's what BioWare's doing right now. They didn't say anything. They got their heads down. They put out a thing where it was like, cool, we get it, you're pissed. And then they just left it alone while they rebuilt their game. And it worked. The game came back out, and people looked at it and replayed it and were like, this is amazing. Because there was some separation from the release to that point. That people were like, cool, well, there's this big update, and I really wanted to like this game because it looked so good and had so much promise, but it was disappointing. I'll check it out again. Whereas if you keep talking about it constantly, people aren't going to get that separation from it. I haven't played Fallout 76 since the end of 2018 when it came out, but because it's constantly being brought up by Bethesda, by the internet, by everything, because they just keep perpetuating the cycle, I feel like I haven't got any distance from the game, even though technically I've got a year and a half's distance from the game.
I think what hurts also for everybody is that they haven't really come out and said sorry.
No, they didn't admit they fucked up.
Come out and said they've made mistakes. Even though on the conference they said, we listened to you. You all had plenty to say. And yada yada yada.
And here's a battle royale mode. That's literally how E3 went.
Yeah, which is still not out. Yeah, I think it's just a whole thing of just like behind and to the entire team of Bethesda, who are amazing. They are amazing. Let's not forget, Bethesda are an amazing studio. The company, the multiple studios they have are amazing. We're all looking forward to Doom later on, coming out in a couple of weeks, and we're all looking forward to Starfield, and we're all looking forward to Elder Scrolls 6, whenever that comes out, in 2030 or whatever. Who cares? We're all excited for it.
Like, yeah.
You gotta stop talking about Fallout 76 now. You just gotta stop it. Just shut up. Fix it. And if you can't fix it, shut it down. I know that's a lot of money. I can't imagine how much money. I really can't.
Yeah.
I don't run a business. Never will. But for me, you shut it down. If you can't fix it, shut it down.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Square Enix, a company who's arguably bigger than you personally, probably because they've been out long. They've been a lot longer and everything. Decides to literally shuts down one of their biggest IPs in Final Fantasy 14. Literally come out. We're gonna fix this. We're starting again. We're shutting it down. We apologize. We're gonna fix the game. Boom. What? How many years later? A year or two later?
It was like a year and a half later. They really did it was the way they did that as well. Like,
and they've fixed that, and it's still to this day one of the highly praised and played games, true online games out there.
Like you're talking like traditional MMO.
Yeah, full on traditional MMO.
Go check out on that. You should go check out the No Clip documentary about Final Fantasy 14. It is incredible. And I like, just to piggyback off one of your points before we move on, like I think the world of people who make games. Like, anyone who makes a game is involved in making a game and, isn't a bigot. We come across those from time to time. Like, but anyone who makes a game that isn't a bigot is a superhero, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I mean, like, incredible. I can't even tell you how you're a superhero, Mooney. You're a superhero.
Future.
Like, you're a superhero in training. You're in the X-Men school right now. Like, learning from Professor X.
I'm in Young Justice.
You're in Young Justice. No, I seriously mean it. Like, anyone that can make a game and isn't bigoted is a fucking hero, because I can't even think of all of the amount of games I've played, the amount of time I've played games, and like all the ways in which they just helped me in general. I'm in awe of it. That's why I do this, because like I'm in awe of everything that happens and that you make happen. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be critical when I need to be critical, though. But speaking of something I'm not going to be critical of, because this was one of my favorite things that happened recently, Apex Legends deliberately set up Forge to fool data miners, Respawn confirms. This is from Emma Kent over at Eurogamer. I did delete something for time. You're looking a bit confused. In one of...
I am, I'm not going to lie, yeah.
Yeah, I just deleted it because I was like, we haven't got time, so I'm going to do this one. And I've scrolled up too far. Shit. Where is it? Yeah. In one of the greatest bamboozles in recent video game history, Respawn pulled an incredible bait and switch by hyping up a new Apex legend, then murdering him before he ever reached the game. Forge's assassination was a shocking but brilliant moment, helping to renew interest in the Battle Royale as it reached its 1-year anniversary, and providing a pretty dramatic way to reveal actual new legend Revenant. But it seems Respawn wasn't just out to fool the average player, as a new interview has confirmed community suspicions that the bait and switch was intended to trick data miners. Speaking to esports, Respawn design director Jason McCord explained the Forge stunt was dreamt up by designer Ram Vinson as a way to regain the element of surprise and misdirect data miners who had already leaked Revenant months before Season 4. Quote, honestly, it started as a fun way to misdirect data miners who, at the time, felt like they had solved our next legend and had ruined our surprise. We actually purposefully leaked fake concept art and details of Forge's kit in patches so there would be a breadcrumb trail by the time we announced him. It's pretty insane, really. I can't think of any other game that has gone through such hijinks, end quote. Forge was first detected by data miners back in November, and it sounds like the images pulled from patches were deliberately placed there to hoodwink leakers. Proving the depth of the deception, McCord said developers never even made a model or kit for Forge. Something that remains a little unclear is whether Forge was designed as a fake legend right from the start, or was converted to a fake very early in the planning process. I guess the clue was in the name. Forge. Love it. I really like that. I came across this while I was looking for news, and I thought I'm going to put this in because I fucking love the way they revealed Revenant. I love the fact that Forge was a thing, and then you got to watch the video of the reveal, and it's Forge, and he's sitting down doing the interview with the woman. And then the lights go off, and then Forge is just stabbed, and then the whole thing cuts off, and it's like, shit. The fuck? They just killed him. He's supposed to be the next character? No. No, he's not. Brilliant. Mwah. And you know what? That is probably what got me to pay attention to the game enough to actually start playing it again, so I guess it worked. Like, in that regard.
No doubt. It's brilliant. I love when you see basically game developers literally take the piss.
Yeah.
I love it. Like CD Projekt Reds have done it multiple times with Witcher, and I can't wait to see what they do with CD Cyberpunk and everything. Yeah, this is just absolutely fantastic. I'll say right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say Forge is going to come back. We all know he is. He's going to be one of the characters eventually.
Nah.
Yes,
nah.
I think so.
Nah.
But they're going to redesign him where it's going to be like where him and Revenant are going to go toe to toe or something like
Season 7 or something like.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
Whoa.
It might be a while, but I can see Forge coming back, and I think that'd be brilliant.
I'd be fine with that. But I just love everything about the way they revealed Revenant and Forge, and yeah, it got me back into the game. And yeah, I love the fact that they were just like, nah, he was never a character. We never made a character model. We just put some fake concept art in a patch note, and then we just let the data miners do the rest, because fuck those guys. Like, for like thinking they've got the better of us. Oh, fantastic.
Well, Lakers
Like,
love them or hate them. They're a pain in the ass.
Respawn, like, for that, I'm just gonna give you a round of applause for that one. That was fantastic. Well played. In the back of my
Some would
mind,
say they tossed a coin
they tossed
to
a
the
coin
data miners.
to at their data miners
At the
in the
data
eye.
miners, yes.
I'm looking at the next news story, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, while we've been doing this podcast, I've known that this is here at the end, waiting. And it's like, all right then.
We can skip it.
No, we're not skipping it. It's everything I need to end this podcast on. It's just one of those things where it's like, how stupid can you fucking be? COD streamer banned on Twitch for accidentally shooting some G Fuel with a Glock. This is from Kirk McKeon over at VG247. He writes, oh, and I did purposefully go and get the news story from VG247 because they always lace their articles with heaps of sarcasm. And I feel like in this instance, it is definitely warranted. In yet another instance of an American who probably shouldn't have a gun, Call of Duty streamer and pro player Carl Raymer just accidentally straight up murdered his gamer sustenance. Nobody was hurt when the weapon was accidentally discharged, which occurred live on a stream. Nobody but Raymer's pride. It all kicks off when Raymer pretends to threaten someone for accusing him of having no money. He pulls back on the slide twice, thinks he's unloaded the pistol, and fires, forgetting that chambers exist. The streamer, who claims he was intoxicated during the event, has since put out an apology video on YouTube since he's not banned there. He's also been let go by esports organisation Saw Gaming. Raymer appears genuinely introspective on his apology video and clearly understands the weight of what happened, saying, quote, "Guns are not a toy and are not to be messed with," end quote. He also admits that someone could have been seriously hurt and that he was lucky nobody was. There's no word on whether or not Twitch will lift his suspension. Did you see any of this? Because I saw the whole thing.
Nope.
Oh my god. Like, it just, I've seen the clip, and like, it's exactly how it's described. He's talking shit about someone, which, you know, streamers do. I usually do it. I just talk shit about you, but like, he's talking shit about someone for some reason, and he gets the gun, and I was just like, I already knew what was about to happen, but it was just a case of why would you pick up a gun in a live stream? And he cocks the thing, and he just accidentally shoots it, and he just blows his game G Fuel. He just blows it up basically with a gun, and then you just see him sitting there being like, "Oh fuck!" Like, "Oh fuck!" And like, it's coming in waves on his face where you can see how badly he's fucked up, and it's just like, "Oh god, dude, really?" And then he's been banned by Twitch, and he's been let go from his gaming organization because you shouldn't fuck around with guns. Like, on a fucking live stream. No shit.
There's a reason why I don't really watch Twitch streamers anymore. I only watch a couple of what I really want to support, like you, a good friend of ours, MC Vixer.
Twitch.tv/MC Fixer.
And
he trained me well.
He does do that. He does have effect. He does have that effect on us. Twitch streamers are just idiots. They
Yeah.
really are idiots.
Yeah,
I don't
100%.
mean that. I mean that. The big ones, the truly big ones out there, are complete and utter moronic idiots. Like, you can clearly see they have no brain cell in them between them, and that's like, it's unbelievable. Like, just
Yeah.
When you see something this stupid, one, why would you grab a gun? Why? I don't care where you are. Why would you grab it? You are live on Twitch.
And that is a loaded gun. Like, even if you thought you unloaded the gun, that is still a loaded gun you've just grabbed on Twitch. And not to, like, make assumptions about anyone's audience, like, big Twitch streamers tend to be big, and they tend to be watched by a lot of young people. And you're just fucking around with a gun like it's nothing.
Even if it didn't go off, he would have still been banned.
Probably.
Guaranteed, because he messed around with it. And the video, even if it comes across genuine or not, doesn't mean bought all. At all. It really doesn't. I'm sorry, when you get intoxicated, things happen. There's a reason I don't drink. There's a reason why I think drinking should be banned altogether, personally. You shouldn't, or learn how to just control yourself.
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been drunk before. Like, I haven't drank a drop of alcohol in like 9 years, but I've been drunk before and I've never done anything even close to shooting a bottle of G Fuel with a gun. Like, to that level. Like because you get to a certain point where you've done something so stupid, it's like you can't blame the fact that you were drunk on this. It was that stupid.
Yeah. The guy's got the person's got what he deserved.
Yeah, like
He has got what he deserved. So I can't see any esports team bringing him back.
probably not.
Not for a while.
It'll
Anyway,
be down for a while, yeah. Like
he'll be on for a while. And don't worry, there's other streaming service. I'm sure Microsoft are throwing out money, mate. Maybe you can get in contact with them.
I don't think Microsoft would be too interested in having the guy who fired a gun.
Video.
I mean, make sure they haven't seen the video first. But
Yeah.
like in his apology video, like he legitimately like it wasn't like the general typical apology video, which isn't really an apology video. He didn't blame anyone but himself. He knew how much he fucked up. He was completely like, I deserve everything I just got, like the ban, being dropped by the team and stuff like that, where I was like, cool, good on you. I still don't feel sympathy for you because you shouldn't have done it in the first place, but I can respect the fact that he owned it. Like,
I always respect someone who apologizes.
yeah, I'll always respect someone who actually apologizes, like an actual apology as opposed to like an apology, fake apology. Like, I'll always respect that.
Yeah, you don't have to agree with it. You don't even have to say good. Right, like that. But as long as it was as long as it was an apology.
Yeah, 100% was.
At the time, these idiots on the internet don't do an apology at all.
I mean,
they think after things they do is an apology. They have no idea what an apology is.
Like if we're talking like this, if we're talking splitting it off into two tiers of this guy, is on the one side where it's like, okay, good on you. And then Dr. Disrespect after the bathroom incident is the other side. Then this guy is definitely like on the opposite side of that. So yeah, it was like, don't, like, I'm glad you realized you fucked up, but you definitely could have like killed someone like with that.
Killed
like
himself. That would not have been good on stream.
No. Nobody fuck around with guns on a live stream. Games out this week. Just don't have a gun. That works too. Can't get shot if you don't have a gun. Games out this week. On March 11th, we have Ori and the Will of the Wisps coming to PC and Xbox One. On March 12th, we have Hidden Through Time coming out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, iOS, and Android. On March 13th, we have Neo 2 coming out on PS4, My Hero 1's Justice 2 coming out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, Dead or School coming out on PS4, and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus coming out on PC. That game's already out on PS4. And also on March 13th, we have Alda's Blood for Switch. Slow week, nothing really coming out. Oh, it's finally time. Do you remember last year, by this point, we'd had Apex, we'd had Resident Evil, Kingdom Hearts, Metro, Devil May Cry. Like, and this year we've had Dreams? Dreams. Dragon Ball.
That was so good.
Like, I've never experienced a drought like this in a long time. And I'm glad that it's over. Give me 3 weeks. I'll be complaining that I'm stressed and I'm well overworked and I'm buried under games. But right now, Tuesday can't get here fast enough. And speaking of Tuesday, I'm not.
I'm sorry.
I am available. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'll be with plenty of time to play Ori. I've got videos to make. I'm looking at my to-do list and it's like, I got plenty to keep me distracted. Let's play Guess the Score. Last week, sorry, let me explain the rules. This is a game where every week myself and whoever's co-hosting the podcast with me will pick one game from the games released on the week, try to guess the OpenCritic average of that game for when we come back to the podcast next week. The closest guess gets 1 point. If you manage to nail the score dead on, you get 2 points. And I'm sure you can't see where this is going from Mr. Moody's look on his face. Last week, we tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX. I guessed that it would get a 75. Mr. Moody guessed that it would get a 70. And it got a 70. Bang on. At the time of recording, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX is a 70 on OpenCritic, which means that the current scores stand at Amy 3, co-host 3. I managed to guess closest on the scores of Dreams, Warcraft 3, and One Punch Man. Mr. Mooney managed to guess closest on Zombie on Before and managed to guess correctly Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Go on, say whatever you're going to say.
We're 3-1 down, ladies and gentlemen. 3-1 down, bottom of the ninth. And I was all down for this.
It's not even in the March yet.
It's Fergie time. Fergie time, ladies and gentlemen. And I saw it. I saw it, the number came in my head. And I just said it. And I got us 2 points. 3-3. Let's continue this.
This week, I have decided to select Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It's been the first week where I've had a choice, I feel like the first week where I've had a choice. The only other week where I had a choice, Bloodroots was a thing, but it wasn't fair because I'd been playing Bloodroots. Because I had the early code for it. So, Mr. Moody, what do you think the OpenCritic average for Ori and the Will of the Wisps will be by this time next week?
This is going to be an interesting one. Like I said, the early talks of this game is AAA indie game. The last game, Ori and the Blind Forest, got an 89 on OpenCritic. This, we all are believing it's going to be at least high 80. Could it crack the 90? That's the question. That is the ultimate question.
It is. Let's see. One might say that's the question I'm asking you right now.
Yes.
You stalling?
Risk it for a chocolate biscuit, Amy.
I don't know. How much do you like chocolate biscuits?
I'm not allowed to eat them anymore.
Then you probably don't want to risk it for a chocolate biscuit.
I want to risk it for a vegan biscuit.
risk it for a custard cream.
Can't have those anymore.
Oh dear. Risk it for a celery stick.
Okay. 91.
Oof. Now, as you know, Moody, I always have to think of mine ahead of time because I don't want to let myself be influenced by what you say. So I always write it down on my phone. I don't need to look at it because I can remember one number. So the number I came up with instantly, as soon as I decided it was going to be Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I was like, having done no research on Ori and the Will of the Wisps, its early impressions, what the last game got on OpenCritic, just going on my gut. That's where I go from. I go from my gut. Like, I just listen. It tells me what to say. And I thought, 92 is what I thought. Is what I came up with.
This is...
Now, given that you have... Basically, if it gets lower than a 91, you've won. Some might call me crazy. But I believe...
might say you smart as hell.
I believe this game, as judged by the critics on OpenCritic, will equal the greatest games of 2019. Resident Evil 2, Disco Elysium, both those games on an average of 92. They were the best games according to OpenCritic last year. Ori's gonna match that. Are there going to be games that are higher than that? Absolutely. We'll talk about those in the weeks to come. Right now, though.
Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be frank. I am rooting for Amy, or to even be higher. I am rooting for that, but I want to win. So.
Yeah, I mean,
come on, people, come on, you critics.
We've got this
out there. Gotta not like this game.
We've got this awkward situation now where we do this game and we do Fantasy Gaming League, and it's like I want every game that I put my hands on to be game of the year, right? Like, that's where I'm at. I want every game to be that. And I know that most games aren't going to be that. At the same time, Keith does have Ori and the Will of the Wisps in his Fantasy Gaming League. And if he didn't get, more points than I got for Dreams, I'd be okay with that.
Well, I think even if he
No, he'd still be behind, but then he's got Doom
Yeah.
Eternal too. Like Doom Eternal is like a week and a half later.
Yeah, I think it'll bring him back to not being minus.
I just need Breath. If Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, I'm gonna win. It's that simple. I feel like the rest of my team in Fantasy Gaming League is solid enough that if I nailed Breath of the Wild 2, no one's catching me.
Well, I've said already, when you've got a recording of this,
Yeah.
you win.
I win the predictions game. If Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, I get 5 points and just win the predictions
I don't
game.
care what else we get right. We all could get 5 out of 5, and you just get 1 out of 5. You'd still win. I've said that. Frank,
I love
facts.
it. I love it. Fact. I'm going to show everyone this video. And just be like, Booty said it. That is going to do it for episode 196 of the Words About Gamescast. Next week will probably be a bonkers, filled with all sorts of news week, because that's how these things are progressing these days. But for now on, we'll say thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Moody. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure as always, Amy.
It's been glorious. It has.
It's been pretty darn glorious.
Let's get out of here. Say bye.
Bye.